Hello, hi everyone. In this video, I would like to show you how to create a workflow. So if you would like to access the workflow in ServiceNow, the first thing, the prerequisite is to have a ServiceNow account, developer ServiceNow account. And then you get your instance. Once you have your instance, you can access to ServiceNow Service Management. At this point, you can type in the Navigator Explorer here, and you can type workflow. And you get to workflow and click on workflow editor. It's going to open a new page where you can see all the workflows available that you can check and you can take, for example, the change request standard. So before getting into details, let me explain what is a workflow, why we need to have a workflow, and what it's going to do for us. So I'm going to bring here another image that I created for the training purposes. This is a process. The process, when you have a process in your company, for example, IT process, I don't know, business process, any sort of process, you want to automate different steps that is in the process. That's why we need a workflow. Here I put an example. I'm using an application which we are using in the training, which is Need IT application. You can download it from the GitHub account if you have a GitHub account, and for that you need to go like any of the exercise. I'm sure you can get like how to download that application and get installs in your ServiceNow Service Management. So that's another prerequisite. So let me go back to our image. The first thing is a specific user is creating a request in the Need IT application. So he's sending a request, and that request it goes to for approval of his manager. The manager can either approve the request or reject the request. If the manager approves the request, is going to create a task, another task, and that task either it can be is going to be assigned to someone else, and that person can close or not, leave it open. Only when the task is closed, the workflow is going to be finished. Or if the manager is rejecting the approval, is not approving, and is going to end the workflow. Or in the beginning, the condition is the request is not coming from the specific user, is going to end the workflow. So this is the workflow, and you have to view it like a little bit for kind of, I don't know, this request is for I don't know, for example, a document review. I'm just saying that it's very like just for the I'm giving you an example, right? This person is requesting for a document review. The manager reviewed the document, and then but there is another person who have to review the document, and goes that person and that person have to do. So this is the process. We have multi steps in the process, and we are automating these things by using the workflow. So let me show you now how it looks like in ServiceNow. So this is the workflow of that process that I already created. This is our end result. We're gonna recreate one, and we have what we call here, these are activity blocks. So begin, the if condition, the approval side, setting the value for the Need IT request, and creating the task, and the end. So let's start to create one. I will be explaining for each step how we have to do. Okay, so I'm going to close this one. So you go to welcome, and then you click on new workflow. So the first thing we are say it's for Need IT. We are giving a name, Need IT request approval, and creating no, I would say task assignment. Okay, and the table we are using is the table Need IT. That's the table we are using, and the condition is going to be run the workflow always. We're going to set to the state to, so the state is awaiting approval. So let me show you what we are doing right now actually. So this is my Need IT. So I'm going to open Need IT application, I'm going to create new. So the user is creating, and it should come from a specific user. At this point we are not setting it's coming from a specific user. At this point we are triggering the workflow when the state is going to be awaiting approval. If the state is awaiting approval, it's going to trigger the workflow. So that's the thing we are doing at this point. So there is nothing else need to be completed at this point, where I'm going to just submit it. Great. So we have our canvas. In our canvas we have two activity block. Which one? The first one is the beginning of the workflow and is ending. So we have to now progressively add all the different steps that we have seen before, like I explained here, like all the different steps. These are, we have to add them manually by using the core activities available here. So here you have, the first thing is to put the condition if it is coming from a specific user, right? So you can find that condition here, the if condition. So I'm going to put the if condition, I'm going to just drag and drop here, and if but requested for is able tutor is the person I chose, and I'm going to set the condition at this point. So requested for is able tutor. Okay, great. So I'm gonna submit it. So great, we have our activity block. So at this point we have to, what we say, we have to connect the blocks in between them. The way we do it, we're gonna just take this arrow and we're gonna connect to this block. So we are doing a transition from here to here. We are first testing the if condition. If it is a yes, so we're gonna just for now put it to the end, but we are going to add other activity blocks. So the first thing is to check if the request is coming from another tutor. In that case, I'm sending the request for approval. So for that, you go to approvals, and then you have approval user, which is going to send this activity block, going to send the approval to the manager of able tutor. So request for manager approval, and here there is no condition, sorry, and I have to select the person. I have to tell to the system, go and find out the manager. Here is my, we have to, who is going to be the approver. Go and find out the approver. For that, you click on this button user, and then you click on the select fields. You go for requested for, click on the plus button, which is going to load another list, and you choose manager. This is a specific syntax. It's called dot working. You can find out videos. This is kind of another huge topic, and where you can, how this thing works. So far my understanding is this field exactly you requested for is the field of the requested for, not the name of the requested for, but the reference for ServiceNow to locate that field. And it's gonna locate that field, and it's gonna see what is the value, and the value is able tutor. And then it's gonna tell to the system, go and find the manager of able tutor. And the manager of able tutor should be in the user profile of that person. So that's basically what we are doing here. We are telling to the system, find out the manager and send the approval to this person. The rest of the information, we don't need to touch it. We just need to go through submit. Great, we have created this approval block for it. And then we are going to again connect from this to, like, from requested. If it is a yes, we are going to connect to here. Okay, great, we have done. So at this point, we have to, once it's approved, what we have to do is to set the value of the need IT request to approve. I'm gonna show you. So if you send the request, if this request is sent and is awaiting approval, and then the manager is approving the request, and then we have to change it automatically to approved once that person is approved. Okay, so that's what we are going to do here. So like we are going to set the values of that field. So I'm going to just drag and drop here, and I'm gonna give a title, set the state value to approved, and I'm going to choose here the state field and select approved and click on submit. Great, it's done. Now at this point we have to connect again the nodes. So from here, so I'm gonna take it from here. Okay, great. Okay, it's always difficult for me to do this. Okay, great. So once his able tutor is going to be sent for approval, once that things are approved, he's going to set the value for the need IT request to approve. After that we are going to use another one which is called create task, this one. So I'm gonna just drag and drop. Okay, first thing, great. So I drag and drop the create task, and he's going to create task and assign to Michelle. Okay, so this is the person I chose because he's going to be the person who is going to, so this person, Kristen Michelle. Okay, so the task type is going to be a task. At this point you have to notice one thing is like we are not creating a need IT task table specifically for this application. We are using one table which is already there, the task table, because if you click on this bar and if you type task, and you're gonna get a lot of different task table. You have catalog task, change task, feature follow on, incident task, knowledge base, a lot of different tasks. So we're gonna use here for just for the to see how the create task is working. We're gonna just use the task table, task type, this one, and here I'm going to look for Kristen. Okay, let me check his name again. Kristen. Okay, Kristen Shaw. Okay, and the short description I'm going to say, please review the document. We have nothing else to do at this point. We're going to create that is going to be, the task is going to be created, and then it's going to assign to Kristen Michelle. So we're going to submit. Great, this part is done. So now we do our usual thing is connecting our nodes. As I mentioned before, this is a very difficult task. Great. And you have to notice one thing is the task is assigned to Michelle, but if Michelle is not taking any action, is not going to finish the workflow, is going to be in executing status. So we can see that a bit later. I will be like creating a request and testing this workflow, and I will be showing an each step what is happening. So if that person is not closing, doing any sort of thing on that task level, the workflow will be in the executing state. So we have created now the first part. Now we have to create the second part, which is like when the conditions are like the opposite, when is not the user able tutor is creating, what it should happen, it should not trigger any workflow. So we're gonna end that directly, and so I'm gonna put it like this, is much more clear. And we have to as well say what will happen if the manager of able tutor refusing the approval. So we have, if it's rejecting, so in that case we have to set the values of the state field into close complete and then end the workflow. So in order to do that, we're gonna do again like set the value, sorry, drag and drop, and set the state value to close complete, and state, and it's going to be close complete. Submit. Okay, the rest of the thing is simple. We are going to connect this one to this one, and we're gonna end the workflow. Okay, so we have our entire workflow ready. So I'm gonna put it like in a more clear way, like we're gonna organize it a little bit like this. Okay, so as you can see, so we have one thing, if checking if it is able tutor, if it is yes, it's going to trigger all these things. If it is a no, it's going to end. And then there is another check, if the person is approving, is going to set the values depending on the output. If it is approved, set the value to approved for the need IT request, and then create a task, assign the task, and then finish the workflow. And here, if it is rejected, set the values to close, and then as well finish the workflow. It's done at this point. We're gonna test it now. So before testing it, we have to validate it. We have to validate our workflow. In order to do that, you click on this icon, and you have this one, like you click on that, and it's going to check your entire workflow and see if there is any mistakes or this kind of thing. In case there is something, it's going to tell you warning or critical or something. For now, I didn't have anything, so perfect. Everything is green. I'm gonna click on OK. Perfect. Now we have done this part. We're gonna create one request and go through all these different steps in the process. Okay, so let's create one. I don't want to create this one. Let's see, there is no request. I'm gonna create a new one, and I'm gonna choose, okay, let's put someone else. No, let's put able tutor. And you see my email, I was just doing some testing, that's why I have my email. Otherwise it should be something like able tutor at example.com. and the first condition is awaiting approval. Okay, so we're gonna create this incident need IT request. Sorry, this need IT request, it's not incident. Great, done. So it's now as the state is awaiting approval, it should go for approval, right? So it should be at this point. So in order to test that, you go to the menu here, and then you click on show context. As you can see here, we have the state is executing. And if you click on the timestamp here and find out the show workflow, and you will get the state where is exactly now the workflow. The first, it started, and then it fulfilled the condition, which is like the requester is able tutor, yes, and is going to is sent for approval to the manager. Let's see if the manager get the approval or not. So in our case, I know the manager of Able is Fred Ludy, so I have to impersonate and here, and then I have to pretend to be Fred Ludy in order to check if I received any sort of request to be approved. So I go here, I type service desk, and I have my approval, and I can see here there is one requested, and I have the need IT request number 2024. We can check that once more if you want. So I go here, need IT, all, as you can see here is the same number. So I click on requested, which is going to open this page, and at this point Fred Ludy, you can either approve or reject. So I'm gonna approve the request, so it's approved. So as per our workflow, if it is approved, it has to set the value of the incident to approve, right? So I go back to all and I click on the incident number. As you can see here, the state is approved, and we can as well check again where is the workflow is actually right now. You click on here on the menu and then show context, and again on the timestamp, show workflow. As you can see here, we have arrived at this point, and then it should create at this point another task, the task which is going to be assigned to Michelle. So let's see that if that part is done. So I'm going to open it. I scroll down, I can see here there is a task, and the task is assigned to Krista and Michelle, and the short description, please review the document, the one that we have put on the short description when we were creating it. So by default you don't have this section. In order to have this section, you need to click here in this part, like the menu button, and then you go to configure related list. I cannot edit, I'm gonna put that thing in edit mode, and you have to look for task parent, and you look for task parent the available list, and you just need to put it on the selected part. That's all you need to do in order to see the related list of this request. So if I click on that, it's assigned to Krista and Michelle, and the state is open until Krista and Michelle is not taking any action. The workflow is not going to be finished. Is going to be like in the executing mode always. So all we need to do is we can like check what is the status now if you want again. So show workflow. So we can see here is still running on the level of create task. So there is a task and assigned to Michelle. At this point we have to close it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend to be Krista and Michelle. I choose this person because this person can see all the tasks, comparing to other user like Adela or Able Tutor, they are not able to see the task. So I look for need IT and task. There are different tasks because it was created before just for training purposes. So the one we are looking, the one which is related to our request is the one with the number ending with 1184. So this one. So I'm going to take action here. I'm going to make it close complete, update. So at this point it's done. The workflow shouldn't run anymore. So let's check that if that is true. So I'm going again, show context here, show workflow. As you can see, everything is blue. If it is blue, it means it's done. So it went through all the steps and it ended the workflow. So that's how you can create a workflow. If you want to use all different options, like if you want to play, you can mess around, like you can use the set values or if condition. This is just how to show you how to create a workflow with different activities blocks. Thank you for watching. Have a good weekend. Bye.